Well, hey, Taxistas, and all of our Drive Tribe members too. We're really excited. We just had our first Basics Tax Workshop, and we have as a guest speaker today one of the participants of our Show Me the Money Tax Workshop, and this is Lisa Harger.
Hello.
I've actually known Lisa. Is Lucy or Lacey around for the?
Lacey's on the floor and Lucy's sitting on her cage door, but she might do a flyby later.
Okay, and that's and you're gonna hear squeaky toys in the background. We got it all going on. Jill might have Delilah dance by in her little Christmas dress, who knows? But we're all just gonna go with it, and because we thought it was really important to get this information to you. So ignore the growling dogs in the background. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can take the reason for the growling away. It was the cause of the growling. So what we wanted to talk about, and we wanted to ask Lisa, and this is actually the first time we've had to ask Lisa, so her answers will be fresh for all of us. We wanted to find out, Lisa, what your experience was in the tax workshop. We wanted to hear about your business, how many years you've been in business, and then what your experience was, what you learned. And so let's start with, how many years have you actually had a business that qualifies for being able to take the tax benefits available to a home-based business owner?
So I have been sharing my business for 3 years. I've been using Isogenics products for 4. And shortly after I started using them, I went to health coaching school. And now I specialize in coaching people. It's all women right now, but I would take male clients too, in autoimmune protocol elimination diets.
I know. When we spoke, and we hadn't spoken for a while, and when you told me what you've kind of honed in that specialty that you've honed in on, I think what I told you is that you're on the right track, and there's a lot of people out there that need your services. Truly, it's becoming more and more apparent that nutrition is at the core of a lot of autoimmune disorders and people that are suffering from different, inflammation, rheumatoid arthritis, and all those things, that really nutrition is such a key part. So the fact that you're doing the coaching and really helping people identify what foods are causing them, the inflammation and pain, and then inflammation actually presents, this isn't what the call is about, but in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different symptoms, in a lot of different ways. And it's not, inflammation isn't just joint pain.
It isn't, and it causes a lot of issues in a lot of different ways for people. And so I try to help them. And so, yeah, I mean, I've been claiming the consultant business on my taxes for the last few years, but I feel like I just started to get better at it recently, if that makes any sense. Like, before, I kind of listened to what my tax guy asked me, but now I feel like I can go to him and be like, hey, Mr. Brandt, what about this, this, and this? And maybe we could get even some more benefits going.
So you've had a tax guy for this whole time. You have somebody that does your taxes.
Yes. And I apologize, Dawn. You may have heard some screaming. It's the bird, not a child. No one is being injured in this house.
Right. Like, I knew who it was, but it's true. It's good that we're letting the rest of the people who listening know that there's not like a baby that's been abandoned in the other room or something. So this is because this is, a lot of people think, well, I have an accountant, so I don't need Hey Taxi, right? I don't need what you do. I don't need this workshop because I have an accountant. But just because you have an accountant, like, your accountant prepares a return based on the information you provide to them.
Right.
Until you become your own best advocate, much like you have to do with the doctor, right? You have to be your own best and that's a whole other conversation for another day, right? That we could have about what you've been through and having to be an advocate for your own health. And you have to bring to your doctor what you found and what you know, like, to move forward together. The same thing with an accountant. I mean, and accountants, A, will prepare the information based on what you provide for them. B, there's a lot of accountants out there who actually, I don't want to say it mean, but they actually like look down their nose at direct sales and network marketing and at coaching businesses. Oh, everyone's a life coach, right? And they look down their nose at it and they treat it as a hobby. So they don't go after a lot of the write-offs that are available to you because they're looking at it as a hobby business.
I think that's true. I'm thankful that that hasn't been my experience, but I also feel like I may have learned some additional things that Mr. Brandt didn't bring to my attention that now I can bring to his, and then I'll get additional benefits from that.
Right, because nobody's saying don't use an accountant. Nobody's saying
no, you have to use
get help. Nobody's saying don't help filing your taxes. We're just saying be informed and bring to him the information that he needs to get you the most tax benefits. So for example, like what are some of the things you think you heard in the workshop that you weren't taking advantage of that you're going to be able to take advantage of now?
So this is a simple one. Samples. I share samples, maybe not as frequently as some, but I do share them. And I was writing off the product samples, but I wasn't writing off the postage for the samples, and I wasn't writing off the mileage to travel to the post office. So those are 2 out of 3 write-offs that I missed right there.
And all the packaging when you do samples, like, tissue paper, ribbon, and the little card you put in, and like the box you put in, like all of those things add up. I mean, they really add up. And if you, get 20 boxes and you use 17 of them for samples and happen to have a few left over to put your Christmas gifts in, well, hallelujah, But like you gotta be tracking everything because everything adds up. Like that mileage at 57.5 cents a mile.
Didn't it just go up too? I feel like I saw a post on the Hey Taxi website or the Hey Taxi group about that.
It's 57.5 for 2020. I'm not sure what it's going to be. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but before, like when I was paying my employees and paying their mileage, it was like 27 cents a mile. And even then I was like, ugh. Mileage is a big deal. Like for sure, it's a big deal. We're going to be talking in one of our workshops that are coming up. That's going to be about record keeping, financial record keeping and bookkeeping and like how to keep all your stuff organized. And we're going to be talking about the apps that track your mileage, like the ones that like actually you get in the car and start the car and they're like, oh, where are you going? And you type it in and they're like, and you stop the car and they're like, oh, have we arrived? And then you swipe right if it's personal, swipe left if it's business. Like they're very, very advanced, the mileage apps. It's just a little log that I used to spill coffee all over and write everything down in. So we're going to be talking about that in one of the workshops that's coming up. And then we also have another workshop that's after the one that you did, the Show Me the Money, that's an advanced tax strategies one that we're going to be talking about some really, I don't want to say high end, but some pretty brilliant strategic things that you can do and that you can do like the Augusta loophole. That's one that we're going to talk about because you just bought a new house. Right?
I did, hence the packing boxes. And I don't usually live like this.
And so it's really exciting, and I'm thrilled that you actually did the workshop at this time. I actually know a few people in the group that are getting ready to move because I know as a result of being a Drive Tribe member, you get the discount from the for the workshop, but you also get a free session with our Hey Taxi CPA. And I'm sure finding out what you can write off in 2020, thank God you took the workshop when you did, in 2020, what you can write off from your closing expenses and settling on your new house, what you can write off of your moving expenses, and be very strategic moving into your new house in like kind of figuring out how much of your house will actually be your home office. And I know you actually have 2 businesses. You have your coaching business and you have a craft business. So you are going to need, you have inventory that you need to store. You have, storage for all of your materials for your other business. You've got a desk, an office area. And so I think when you're moving in and you're looking at the space and how you can maximize that home office deduction benefit, because, you know, you just took on a mortgage and it'd be nice to actually get some of that money back.
For sure.
So figuring out how to do that. And I know you'll be able to use some of that free time with Michelle as a result of being, you know, everybody in the drive try gets a free consultation with Michelle. For sure, for me, that would be one of the questions I would be asking her.
I was super pleased though on the Ask the Accountant call the other day that I got to ask so many of my questions, because then I can save my 15 minutes for the move or whatever.
Right? I mean, if you're smart about it, like, so as a member of the Drive Tribe, right? I'm gonna have to lean up and make this go away. Sorry.
It sounded like wind chimes.
As a result of being in the Drive Tribe, you not only get the discount on the workshop and the free consultation with her, but you actually get to be on our Ask the Accountant call once a month. And they've been really good. Like you would get on even if you didn't ask a question, because you're going to learn something, because somebody else is going to ask a question that is probably something that you wanted to get the answer to anyway. So it's brilliant that, I mean, it's really the best deal in town for the price of a latte. You're getting a half an hour with an accountant once a month and access to all the other people that have similar home businesses and that are asking questions that are similar to yours. I think we'll focus more on the coaching too. We have a lot of coaches in the group. So we're going to be actually looking at some of those expenses, maybe that are hidden expenses that they're not realizing. I mean, for sure, obviously, we'll just go with it. Any education that you've done to get yourself certified, like I know you did the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, right? And you've done some more advanced coaching on the elimination diets and things like that. So all of that education, like I'm sure you're writing all that off, right?
Well, IIN was several years ago. Am I allowed to write it off now?
No, you would have written it off then. Because when you did IIN, you were sharing Isogenics.
I was, and I didn't write it off.
Yeah, see?
See, I didn't have Michelle then. I only had Mr. Brandt, and he didn't view it as a write-off.
Yeah.
Now, Dawn, she could go back and have that resubmitted. She could refile.
She could amend her return. You have to look at whether it's worth it. And that's something you can talk about with Michelle or Mr. Brandt. You can go back, because IIN was expensive, right?
Yeah, it was $5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's half of a master's degree, essentially.
Yeah. So for sure, that would have been 100% expense, even if it took your business into a loss that year. Then you would just taken the loss. And what it meant is, I know you have a full-time, you know, you work at the law firm, you have a full-time job. What it would have meant is it brings down your full-time income and would have meant a bigger tax refund for you. Right?
Yes.
That's what generating a loss with your business does, is it if you have a business and your expenses are more than what you're making with the business, then it's just going to lower your taxable income, and it means, you know, less tax owed or a bigger tax refund on the other end. And so besides the samples, was there, and now you know, education and coaching, which obviously was something that didn't kind of ring the bell. Was there anything else you heard in the workshop that was helpful? Well, I know you were excited about the home business deduction, home office deduction, and learning about how to calculate that space and all of that. Was there anything else that you hadn't thought about before that?
Well, I think that whole line of what is a hobby versus what is a business, which I feel like my crochet business might walk that line right now. And so I need to, yes, I have the Instagram store, but I don't have a business plan. So maybe that's something I want to think about, or some way to like measure that I am serious and I'm more than like a homemaker. I am pursuing it for work. So maybe I didn't think of this. So I got approached by, this is so embarrassing. Now I can't remember the name of it. It's Spanish, so it's not my first language. So it makes it slightly better, right? But Casa del Casa del something. Anyway, they invited me to teach. So that would make my business more legit versus hobby, right? If I was being a
100%.
consultant.
100%.
To teach crocheting,
Yeah.
that is really cool.
It is really
Isn't that cool?
That's really cool. Would they pay you, or is it a voluntary, like get the word out for your business?
So we hadn't talked about the monies yet. They are selling some Casa del Telar. Sorry, I don't know why I was freezing on it before. So they're selling some of my things on their website. And then they haven't launched it yet. So it'll be launched in 2021. And I haven't decided end game what I'm going to be teaching. I'm thinking about making, because it's via Zoom, so it's kind of complicated. So I have to make something really simple, or I could teach personal classes. Like, I'm not in charge of the details, I guess. I'm just one of their people, and I'm one of their few English speaking people. So that's cool too.
Well, I think which issue of the Hey Taxi Dispatch, Jill, had business versus hobby? Was that number 2 or number 3?
Yes.
Number 2. I think the Hey Taxi Dispatch number 3, newsletter number 2, had a whole conversation, a whole discussion in the article about, is your business a business or a hobby? And then you actually got a free downloadable tool that's a checklist, and you go down the checklist and, are you doing continuing education? Are you investing, are you clearly, do you have a business plan? Are you engaged in activities on a regular basis to generate an income? So there's this whole checklist of things that, there's a dog with a permanent marker at my feet.
We also review all of that in the Show Me the Money Basic Home Business Tax Workshop. And the advantage of that as well is that you get to ask questions with the CPA involved. And I would like to hear from Lisa, having the other participants, because it's live and interactive, hearing them ask their questions sort of raises light bulbs for other people. It's, that all these different people get something different from the content and have different questions. But generally, most of them apply to everyone. And so you thinking about the mileage and the postage and bringing that up specifically probably made other people realize, oh, I do sampling, or I send gifts, or I do. So I think the format of the workshop, I'd like to hear how you felt about having the sort of group learning and the live interactive approach to it.
I actually loved the interactive approach. I've done a lot of online learning, like IIN is all online, but it's all pre-recorded. So your questions, you don't get answered on the spot. You have to wait for a response. And you don't get the benefit of other people's questions or insights, which I think is huge. Like you've mentioned that, like the whole shipping thing that we were just talking about, I got that from Dawn. She was talking about the mileage to the shipping. And then it occurred to me, the actual cost of the shipping can be written off. And I haven't been doing that. So if Dawn hadn't been part of that workshop and mentioned that a couple of times, I may not have come away with that takeaway.
My other question is, did you feel like you actually had access to an accountant during that workshop?
Oh, absolutely. And then when she went through the tax worksheet and everything was very detailed with examples, and you could say, what about this? Where would that fit in? Like that part was perfect. Perfect. I think going through that worksheet was sort of key for me, because my tax accountant doesn't do it with that level of specificity. And I think maybe because Michelle has her, well, I don't know that my impression was that she has her own home-based business, and or at least she must work with a lot of people who do. Oh. And she thought of things that I wouldn't have thought of. And she was very, very careful and specific, and it was awesome. And I'm so glad we got to take the worksheet, because now I can fill it out and then bring it to my tax accountant.
Yeah. That's how we hoped it would work.
Guess what? You did it.
Excellent. So, Jill, do you have any other questions for Lisa?
No, I just want to, I think, so what you're bringing up, I think it's sort of when we designed this, and this was our first go round, is the tools. You actually have things that were meaningful that you took away, that by going through it, both with Dawn and me who have home-based businesses, and then with a CPA who also has this experience, we know how to look at it with a different perspective. You're not just looking at, oh, well, this is, you know, you have ordinary expenses, and then you have necessary expenses, ordinary business and necessary business expenses. And those are both qualified as deductions, but most people only think of, oh, the pens, oh, the printer, oh, the iPhone. But when you start thinking about your specific business and the nuances that are completely legitimate and are qualified, but people are not thinking in that strategic way. And it's not complicated. It's just being involved in this simple conversation with others in your position. And they start asking questions. You're like, oh, well, I never thought about that. I'm thinking about you teaching. And I'm thinking, well, what do you have to buy? What if you need a teleprompter? What if you need supplies? Those are business related, Lisa. And everything you do to sort of like, if you want a better selfie light or you want what a certain background for teaching those classes, those are business expenses.
Yeah.
And because yeah,
Sorry, you just got me so excited because here I am talking to you with my boxes in the background. I don't think the Casa del Talar people are going to like that very much.
You're moving into your house, and we talked about the benefit of that. But no, there are just so many different things that people aren't thinking of. And I think that's why Dawn and I were like, it's so exciting to see people have the aha, I'm doing my Oprah again, the aha moments of, oh my goodness, I've spent so many years doing this, paying for this, and it does serve my business. And it's very specific to my business, but because it's not an ordinary, you know, ink for your printer, you know, the standard expenses people think of, but it's totally legitimate and it's really for business purposes. But the necessary versus ordinary, I think, is a really interesting dynamic that people don't always think about.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, I bought a printer this year because we started working from home. And the law firm has been paying for my printer ink or whatever it's called, which is great. But I'm not going to lie, you guys, I print out my crochet patterns on that printer too. And I fully intend to write the printer off.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you probably print things when you're sending notes or you're doing I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons you're using it for your home business because you're doing both isogenics. You know, you probably print out, even at tax time, you're printing out all your documents, to keep records of the samples you've sent. You know, there are lots of businesses.
Well, and moving into your new house, there's a lot you're going to be able to do too, especially as you configure and design your home office. And, you know, it could be that like behind you on the wall, instead of moving boxes, or, you know, you'll want a piece of art, or you're going to want something like you're going to do something very specific. So you have a good background for your teleteaching, right? And you may have to buy you know, some kind of pedestal or something so that you can do you display the, you know, however you're going to do to display your work, or like a very specific table that you need, like all of that, like, and you're going to be able to, like, if it's really specific to your thing, you're going to be able to expense it. And it may change your buying decisions for some people who look at, like, and here we are at the end of the year, and I'm going to wrap it up, look at the end of the year, and they really want a Mac. Like, they really want to be able to do more graphics and more, you know, things that Macs are more oriented toward, and they just can't stomach the price tag. Well, if you think about it, and you think about the fact that for most people, a business write-off is somewhere, you know, between, the value of it is somewhere between 30 and 35%, to all of a sudden be able to get a Mac, you're right, at 30 to 35%, makes sense to treat yourself to that for Christmas, where otherwise you wouldn't, because you want to take the expense now, right? Instead of waiting, you know, to have to wait 12 months from now to be able to take the expense on next year's taxes, to be able to take it right now and spend the money at the end of this year. That's the kind of things we're going to be talking about in our last workshop of the year. So we have one more workshop in December. We're going to really focus on the things you still could do, even though there will only be 3 days left in December at that point, to still fully maximize the opportunities for the tax benefits available in 2020 and absolutely set yourself up for success in 2021. So hopefully the things you learn, you'll not only be able to apply to last year, but you'll be able to be a little more strategic this year in going into your preparation of your taxes or planning for how you're going to do it in the years to come. Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes. I have to tell you, I had been looking at very specific ergonomic crochet hooks. And after our tax seminar, I went and I bought them for myself because it seemed like a lot and I could postpone. And then I was like, forget it. I want the tax write-off now, not in a year, in 4 months or whatever it would be.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I think that might be my favorite thing that from this whole phone call that just happened right there. Ergonomic crochet hooks.
I knew, who knew?
You didn't know I was a nerd yet.
You don't want to get carpal tunnel, and that's a lot of people that do knitting and crocheting and that kind of stuff. They end up with carpal tunnel. You don't want that. So ergonomic crochet hooks are, absolutely. I mean, absolutely a qualified business expense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you know where to find us as you're moving forward with the teaching and the crocheting, both through the year and here, but into 2021. You're part of the Drive Tribe. You're part of just the Facebook page. And, you're going to learn so much and you're going to find more ways to save money. And that's sort of the magic of it, right? Because I think it's a very collaborative and open community and everybody in there is really positive. And, we've only touched the tip of the iceberg of what people should know, and hopefully, and Lisa, I'm not going to ask you a very leading question, but the 2.5 hours you spent talking about taxes on that workshop, was it kind of fun?
Jill, that's like the best question you can ask because I used to be super uncomfortable talking about money, like super uncomfortable. And I feel like this year I have made such huge strides in my money story. And I actually really enjoyed the tax seminar because I enjoyed the energy of all of the women on the call and I enjoyed learning something new. And it was just so warm and welcoming. And it wasn't, I don't know, I always get nervous around money. I did not get nervous or uncomfortable or unhappy on this call. I felt at ease and like I could ask all of my stupid questions, not that other people have stupid questions, but I do. And it was awesome. It was the best. Like, honestly, I went on the Ask the Accountant call after that because I really liked Michelle, Yeah.
That's awesome.
And we keep bringing up Michelle. Michelle is the CPA who has helped us with our courses, and she's the one who goes live and asks the accountant and during the Show Me the Money course. And she has a great energy. And I think that what I liked about, from my perspective of this first event, is that we bring people on like 20, 30 minutes early, and we just have like a networking, like get to know each other, hear what they're doing. And then when you're going through the workshop with them, you get their questions and you actually could say, well, does it apply to this part of your business? You have actually a multitude of people kind of brainstorming together for each individual business. And I just thought it was really powerful. And I thought it was a little fun.
It was fun.
Taxes. Yeah.
It was fun. You don't usually hear those two words together in the same sentence, taxes and fun, but. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully this was helpful, and we hope to see you in our next Show Me the Money tax workshop. They're coming up. We have one December 29th. We have one January 10th. We have one January 24th, and they are I know everybody always says, oh, limited, seats limited. These are limited because we want to make sure that you feel like Lisa felt she had access to the accountant. So they are limited. The workshops are capped at 10 participants so that everybody has their, can get their questions answered, and it's not like more than that, I think would be too many. So they're limited and they're going to fill up because everybody, as soon as we get through the holidays, is going to turn around and go, guess what? It's January, it's tax time for my refund and see what I can get, right? So make sure you get in the tax workshops. Lisa had a great experience. Thank you for sharing your experience. And then from there, you can take that as a stepping stone into some of the other things that we're doing. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.